Hi everyone, my name's Oliver. I love to travel. My wife and I bonded over our love of travelling the world, and when we were blessed with our beautiful child, we decided to, well, we don't want to stop travelling, so this vlog series is literally me sharing our misadventures, tips, tricks, advice we've got along the way. The last video that went out was really talking about flying, and more specifically targeted at what you should think about with luggage and what you should think about with security. This one is all about cruising, because we've loved cruising, we find it a great way to travel, and we've got some tips and tricks around how to pack, how to do luggage. On my vlog about cruising is the best family vacation, it was pointed out to me by one of my family who watched it that I wasn't quite accurate when I said unlimited luggage. Technically, that varies between different cruise lines, and as we go through this video, I'm going to just show you a few things to be aware of. There are certain things which universally you need to be aware of, and here's my little things to check before you cruise with your cruise line or on your cruise line's website. Firstly, always notify them of any medical needs. Period. If you're diabetic, if you've got gluten intolerance, if you've got anything like that, get the form in, get it over to them. If you've got sleep apnea, sometimes they can supply you filtered water, sometimes they'll just give you an extension lead for your equipment, oxygen, etc, etc, etc. Any medical needs, let them know. The other thing that isn't obvious, if you're coming on board and you're like, you know what, I'm going to bring this 4-gang extension lead, 4-socket extension lead. Some of those aren't allowed. Some cruise lines have specifically banned them completely to avoid confusion. Others just say it must be non-surge protected. So anything with a surge protector in it isn't allowed on a cruise ship because it can cause problems with the way their electrics work. Some cruise lines have controls over anything with multiple plug sockets in it, because again, they're worried about their electrics and how their electrics are rated to handle the load. Also worth thinking about hair dryers and anything that can make heat, like an iron. Some cruise lines explicitly forbid anything, and as when we go through this list, I'll point out some cruise lines have actually started to say, you know, hair dryers, because not all hair types are created equally. The one in the room is just good for drying European hair. You're going to need special attachments if you've got different types of hair, so we'll let you bring a hairdryer. They might let you bring hair straighteners, but for the most part, irons aren't allowed, and anything else, like if you think you're going to bring your kettle on board, you're going to have problems. If you're going to bring anything that makes heat, also worth double checking with the cruise line before you go about drones. You may have seen that vlogger who's posted all those lovely pictures of the outside of the ship, and you've seen their drone fly around and in and land on the balcony while they're having breakfast. You will, if you do that without having got permission in advance, you will get asked to leave, or you might get asked to give them the drone and may not be given it back. Different cruise lines, different rules, so just be a little bit aware. The other thing I'm going to say here as one of my little tick sheet here, anything that's valuable or important, or you want to make sure no one can break into your case and take, have it in your hand luggage. So the reason for that I'm going to explain now. When you arrive at your cruise ship, a bit like when you arrive at an airline, you take your case, you hand it to a porter, he will take it, and it goes through some security checks separate to you, just like going through an airport. Your big heavy case will then get loaded onto a trolley, taken onto the ship. You're going to see where this is going, and then it will get left outside your cabin. So if there's someone who's a bit light-fingered who happens to be on board, this is rare, very rare. Do not take this as me saying criminality is rife on cruise ships. No, you're probably very safe, it probably won't happen, you're probably fine. But if someone dishonest takes your suitcase, or, as has happened, it just goes a bit missing. If you've got medicines or medical equipment you need, if you've got nappies, wipes, etc., etc., point of this vlog, or your favourite, your antique jewellery that's rare and precious and been handed down by your granny's granny, beware. Don't put it in your suitcase just because things can happen. Keep it about your person and keep it secure. When I travel, my good camera is in my backpack as I board the ship. I go through security with it. I've got it with me. Tablets, things like that, they're just in my backpack, just so that they can't go awry. Whereas the last couple of cruises, and an inordinate amount of baby food and formula and nappies and wipes have been in a checked suitcase. So you arrive at the cruise, you've handed them your suitcase, it goes one way, you go on board, you've started your holiday. Great. You've got your precious things on. Prior to that, you need to know what to have packed, what not to have packed. Different cruise lines have different rules. And as you can see from where I've shrunk myself to the corner, hopefully, I've got up MSC. We've travelled with MSC the most. And just looking at their FAQs, and their FAQ section on their website is pretty brilliant. It has all sorts of useful information. Laptop's down here. Right, so when I said on my previous vlog there is no luggage limit, MSC talk in terms of the weight of the suitcases, simply because you are limited to what, or their staff have to be able to safely handle it. That's the limit, and you have to be able to physically get it onto and off of the ship, or onto over to the porters to load up and go. And also when it comes to checkout day, on the last day, you physically need to be able to pick up your case and take it wherever you're going. These are limits of just what you're able to lug with you. So, 2 suitcases per person, 23 kilos each, and 2 bits of hand luggage, 23 kilos each. You're seeing a theme here. That is what they think is reasonable for someone to be able to move, including their staff. When I was researching this, I really started to clarify what the rules were. I've never heard of anyone having problems if they've brought a little bit more, but things happen. If you are flying to meet your cruise ship, wherever it is, you're obviously going to need to, and MSC spell this out, you're going to hit the limits of the airline too. They weigh your cases as you give them over, so they're more likely to pick up an overweight bag than anyone. So here, they're actually saying, you know, there we go. On embarkation day, your suitcases are going to get delivered to your cabin. They get left in the hallway outside. I've never known them to be in the cabin. When they get there, varies. Simply because of the laws of physics. They can only move so many cases at a time. They've only got so many lifts, so many porters, etc., just getting them in place. As I said before, they said anything important, keep in your carry-on bag, passports and so on. First cruise I ever did, had a long conversation with the guy at check-in, and he talked about people turning up there to check in with their boarding passes. He says, "Where's your passport?" And they turn white and go, "Oh no, I put it in my suitcase that I just gave over to the porters." And apparently on every boarding, on every sailing, there is at least one person who turns up and does that. Don't be that person. Have them in your pocket, have them in your backpack. That's true of all cruise lines. Important documents and documents you need to get on board, keep with you. MSC also are nice and clear and spell out the total amount of baggage they expect per cabin. This is really them going, if you've got more than this, you're going to have trouble fitting it in even the larger cabins. Generally, you can store your suitcases under the bed. You've got room for probably 4 large suitcases under there, and maybe a suitcase in the wardrobe. You, as a family of 4, you should have plenty of room to store your luggage, but just be a bit aware that there's a finite amount of space in the cabin, and if you bring 8 suitcases and it's just 2 of you, you're going to be wondering well, I like the fact they do make it clear what to put in your hand luggage. And here's the important bit. MSC and all the cruise lines make it clear on what isn't allowed on board. Every cruise line has a duty to make sure everyone on their ships is safe. It's something called SOLAS. It's like international law on passenger travel ships, etc. Nothing flammable. No blades. Your antique sword collection, don't bring it. No naked flames. So no candles. Hair dryers, things like that. Beware, because this is important. Google fire on a cruise ship. Scared? Alright, don't be. It's very, very rare, and even when it does happen, it gets dealt with so quickly. But this is the reason why they've had to put these rules in place. Hair dryers, hair irons, hair straighteners, they've started to slacken the rules, different cruise lines. They're also being fairly nice about inflatables. Don't even think about taking them in the pool on ship. Someone will moan. Oh yeah, all of you who've got your meta glasses, don't take them, don't wear them on board. You can take them, just don't wear them on board. People have got annoyed about feeling like they're being secretly filmed by other passengers, and they've started to clamp down on it. Next cruise, I'm going to be emailing them in advance and saying, hey look, what's the rules? But as long as it's clear that you're filming, so you've got the camera out in your hand and it's clearly filming, the rules for other cruise lines all have been made very clear, and MSC as well have made it pretty clear. If it's obvious you're filming and people don't tell you not to, then that's on them. They are very clear about what you are and aren't allowed to take on with regard to other things. Stories I have heard in the cruising press. Person arrested for accidentally taking a bullet with them in their carry-on. Just one bullet. But they took it to a country where bullets aren't allowed. American viewers, double check which bag you're taking. British viewers, you'll be like, how did you accidentally have a bullet in your bag? They were in America, on a cruise from America. Drugs, don't bother. Carnival were known for a particular culture, and now they've got sniffer dogs on board. Drones, as I mentioned, you don't want to get told off for that. They're also quite good about telling you what you don't need. Don't bother bringing towels, there's towels on board. The shampoo on MSC and conditioner that's in the things, it's alright. It's got a nice scent to it, their own custom scent. So there's a few things you don't necessarily, just like if you're staying in any hotel, you've got shampoo, towels. Yeah, medical assistance, blah, blah, blah. Managing luggage. They've got all sorts of rules. All the cruise lines pretty much do similar sorts of things. The night before you get off, you'll be expected to leave your cabinet, your bag outside the room. Now, MSC's FAQ site, love it. The reason why I've got lots of tabs open for the other ones is because I've had to hop around multiple pages to find everything I'm after. The miners policy. These are not people who are going down in holes of ground looking for diamonds. These are people who are under 18 or under 21. Europeans, yeah, 18. Americans, yeah, 21. Go figure. Infants under 2. This is a variance between the cruise lines. Some cruise lines say nothing under 6 months. Other cruise lines say under 2 is fine. Cruises longer than a certain period, you need to be over 2. MSC say if you've booked 2 7-night cruises back to back, they are 2 cruises. So you can game the system a bit. So yeah, bring your 6-month-old on 2 7-night cruises. But you can't take it on a 14-night cruise. It goes a bit further. Them's is the rules, and MSC have been quite clear. And yeah, here they spell it out. Yeah, you can cheat. There are FAQs for children and teens. What can babies and small children eat on board? You know how I said we bought a lot of baby food? It was more for going out to the ports. Let me put up the menu. There we go. That's an example menu for MSC. Kids clubs. You've got lots of entertainment already on board. They have all sorts. The kids. They've got a YouTube channel where they show their own little teen soap opera on it. If you've got teens who are going, show them that. They'll either laugh and not want to come, or laugh and think it's a great laugh. Anyway, kids clubs are free. Apart from, there's if your kid wants to do the zip line, there's a waiver and there's a charge if there's a zip line. Depending on the age, if they can be left with the mini club, yes. So, you're as a family, your kid gets a wristband, you get separated, or there's a reason everyone needs to disembark the ship quickly. That wristband they will use to make sure you and your child are put back together. Here's the important thing. The cruises out of Southampton often will have kettles, believe it or not. The cruises out of other ports don't always. Ask your cabin steward, you might get a kettle. If you want to make up your own formula. Otherwise, there's hot water in the buffet, etc. Room service. We've got that super flask, which I mentioned on the previous video. I took that out of the buffet, filled it with hot water, like scalding, boiling hot water from the hot water tap. And that was what we used for it on the last cruise. It was fine, and we didn't need to bother asking. But they do have plenty of equipment and plenty of things. You don't need to take your travel cart. They have one. But if you've got a slightly older child who you want to let them sleep in their own bed, you can get guardrails to go on the side of the bed, and like inflatable ones. There's other YouTube channels we've seen them, and for our next cruise, when our little one will be a bit older, we're already looking at ordering some of these like inflatable side rails to go on the bed. Babies in nappies that aren't potty trained do not go in the pools. Period. You will see people with their babies in the pools on some sailings. Point them out to a member of staff. They'll get told, "Why is your baby in a nappy in the pool? Has your baby pee-peed?" That's why. Hot tip: register your child for the loyalty club. If you cruise every couple of years, by the time they're 18, they'll be diamond. They'll go off with their significant other, age 21, already have diamond membership and privileges, and be like, loyalty club. Free meal for them and their other half. It'll be great. So all of the information you're ever likely to need to do with what you can and cannot bring on board, and what you need on board, is on here. How do you... Other cruise lines, please take note. This is great. Other cruise lines, not so much. But it spells out very detailed. And this is, I've searched, I'm on .co.uk because I'm in the UK. .com, same in American English. They spell colour differently. I looked. There's one for the German site, one for the Italian site, one for the French site, one for the other language sites that has this. Someone put in the comments if the other translations are as good. But it does have all sorts of useful information. Tells you all about, fly crews, medical, laundry. There aren't laundry facilities on board. Depending on what cabin you've got, you might get some included. All the luggage, entertainment, parking, refunds, safety, all the FAQ information you are likely to need is on here. And then you've got all the other information just off the main salesy site. And here it tells you all about the excursions that are family friendly, family dining, kids clubs, baby and toddler services. They have a hook in with Lego. MSC love to be, they make a whole thing out being European, and they really do use that. So they've got Lego in all their kids clubs. They've got Lego on sale in all the shops. You can buy a little Lego cruise ship. You can buy, to be fair, you can buy chocolate cruise ships from their chocolate shop. They've got it all. Oh yeah, and there's the web series that I pointed out. Yeah. So, all the other cruise lines, from finding your family information, MSC are pretty damn good at making sure you can find it all. The other two cruise lines we're going to look at today, just because they give you a bit of a variance, I'm not going to look at Carnival. I was thinking about looking at P&O, but they're kind of in between the other three that we're going to look at. The other two that we're going to look at. In fact, no. Let's just have a quick glance. So, not been on this website in this session. On board. So this is help hub. Oh, get ready to sail. That might tell me what luggage, what to pack. Okay, let's see, because these guys are part of Carnival, and their rules are pretty similar. So this is more of a blog post. Pack a carry-on. Anything important? Okay. Pack clothes appropriate to your destination. Okay, okay. Yeah. Smart evening. Oh, here we go. What am I not allowed to take? Aha! There's an FAQ. Well, here we go. Don't take guns, BB, pellets, ammunition, sharps, spear guns. Okay, this is a lot more. How dumb are you? But as I say, P&O Cruises, UK brand, part of Carnival Group, and they've had all sorts of problems. The other major cruise lines that we're going to talk about here, Royal Caribbean, again very much in the family space, but just like P&O and Carnival, they're a little bit more upmarket. Their ships are more like theme parks at sea. They've got like surfing simulators and all sorts on board. And remember what I said about MSC's rules on kid ages? Here you go. Again, rules on kid ages. Minimum age is 6 months. If you've got more than 3 days at sea, that's it. So Again, they talk about having baby in kids clubs, all the different things your littles can get up to on board. They make a whole big thing out of it. You know, family friendly cruises, despite everyone saying, ooh, all those who watch Love Ship or Good Ship Murder saying, oh, maybe I shouldn't take my kids on. Grow up. And here we go. How much luggage? You're allowed to carry a reasonable amount. Define reasonable. For your comfort and convenience, limit the number of pieces you take. Well, MSC say 2. These guys are saying reasonable. Again, it's that cabin storage. Where have you got to put it? How much? Here we go. What items are prohibited on board a Royal Caribbean cruise ship? And again, this is nice because they put all the baby stuff mentioned on the prohibited list. So firearms, explosives, yada yada. Don't take your moped on board. Okay, whatever. Just spotted that. Martial arts and self-defense. Now, funny thing, lady I used to work with is like a European powerlifting, like competitive person. She has got titles and all sorts of it doing it. She went on an MSC cruise with her fam and complained that there weren't enough weights in the gym for her. So maybe reach out to the cruise line if you're that sort of athlete and just go, can we make sure, you know, if can I bring these? Yeah. But it didn't matter. She was still able to do something for the week she was on board, and it wasn't like she had a competition due. So, but accepted. Hey, look, here we go. Oh. Here we go. They're saying you're allowed your bottle sanitizer. MSC, don't allow it because it creates heat. See my video on sterilising on the go. You don't need anything that makes heat. Generally, the little capsules and some water. Yeah, mind blown. So yeah, again, it used to be hair dryers weren't allowed. Now they all seem to be following the same rules. Two-way radios. I've heard all sorts of stories on this. Some where cruise lines are very strict on it, some where they're not. If you take a two-way radio and it happens to be crossing over into the same channel as the ship's crew, you can expect them, regardless of whether it says it's allowed or not, you can expect them to come and take it away. Because that's a problem for them operationally. So yeah, it's they're pretty clear. So cruising as a family holiday, you've got lots of money, you want to take it on the ultimate family cruise. There's one cruise line who they set the standard for family friendly cruise. They have no casino on board because it's not that family friendly. There are adult only areas of the ship. You can see who I'm talking about, can't you? Yeah. Their ships are not designed to be a theme park at sea, even though it's from the same part of Disney that run the theme parks. Why? Because Royal Caribbean are doing that, and if you want to have stupid theme park like attractions on a massive ship, but Disney are going, hey, you're a family who wants to spend time together, you want to meet the characters together, you want to have moments together, you want to have magic times together. There's a couple of like water slides and things. In the kids clubs, there's a roller coaster simulator and things like that. But you're not going to get your big climbing walls, your things like that. They're assuming kids might want to go off and do kids activities in there themed around their IP. Kids clubs, and that you'll also want to do things like the theatre together. You're a family who wants to spend time together. You want to enjoy. You want to see your kids laughing and having a good time. You know, they're not like roller coasters and things all on board. So I like their website. I don't like the prices because they're very expensive. A half-term 7-night cruise to the Norwegian fjords on MSC is the same as now booking from the UK, so your gratuities, your tips, or your service charge for your cabin is included with MSC. Disney, a 3-night sailing in a similar sort of grade of cabin, by the time you've added the gratuities in, is a little bit more for a family of 4. If it's just 2 people sharing, it's about the same, but as soon as you hit that family of 4 thing, the only thing I will say with Disney, for your 3 nights, you've got unlimited sodas from the fountains. Whereas MSC, you've got water, you can take squash with you. It's a lot of money for a really short trip. You really need to love Disney, and your little ones need to be in there. That like zone. So their ships are slightly smaller than MSC. Yeah, okay. They do make a very, very nice showing of what's available on board, what you can find. Easy to find what's prohibited straight off this before you cruise, and it gives you links to everything. What you can't take: restricted items, marijuana, firearms, ammunition. They've potted the list that everyone else gives. Firearms policy, marijuana, appliances. I want to know why blenders is on this list. Coffee makers, I understand. Items requiring inspection. Baby monitors. Why? Because they want to check it's not going to interfere with their systems. Sleep machines, etc., portable fans, they just want to make sure they're safe. I've heard, particularly with the portable fans, people taking the same fan on a Disney cruise and multiple times, and every time getting their suitcase checked and having to go, and wait for it to be checked again. Maybe Disney, if you've got regular loyalty club members, you can add a tag to the fan or something. I don't know. They make a nice thing about breast milk in your carry-on luggage and things like that. Here is where you're kind of going, oh, these are the family-friendly cruise line. They really do tell you what to expect. Now here's where Disney kind of break down how much you can take on board, what you can take on board, and the limits. If your cruise is a certain number of nights, you get this number of luggage tags. If it's longer, you get more. That's it. 1 luggage tag means 1 checked suitcase, 2 luggage tags mean 2. There's no mention of weight, there's no mention of anything. If you turn up at your cruise and for whatever reason you've not had your luggage tags, generally there will be someone at the cruise port who will give you like a write-on one where they'll write your cabin details. Better to have printed them, better to have taped them to your suitcase in advance. Again, we need to check that minimum age. They specify minimum age of 6 months and older for certain other cruises. Why that minimum age? Goes back to safety of life at sea, or safety of life at sea. If there is a evacuation of the vessel for whatever reason, they will want to get the children off first with their 1 or 2 parents, and they want that child to be able to maybe need some blankets to wrap them up in, but not to need specifically a heated environment or something like that. The older the child, the better they'll do in cold conditions. I hate to say it, but that is what setting it is. It's literally just a safety concern. They're not being mean. Again, we looked at the prohibited items. Now, Disney. I'm going to mention this. Reach out to me if you're watching this and think this is half decent enough that you want me to review one of your cruises. Because, you know, give me a discount. Maybe I'll come. Maybe I'll decide it's worth the extra money. But shout out to Disney for this. And if you're going on any cruise and you're not sure what you should be taking in the different areas, it gives you a nice... So, Alaskan and Canadian cruises, you know, different things to take, different times of the year. It gives you a nice breakdown on what clothing to take, what conditions you might expect, different things in different regions, Australia. It's a nice check sheet. And it does do each different region really, really nicely. So look, even transatlantic, what to take on the transatlantic. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this has been fairly insightful, and hopefully this will be helpful, particularly if you've never cruised before. If you're cruising a different line to the ones I've covered, go to their website, have a look. There's certain, as I said at the beginning, there's certain key things to be aware of. If you think it's going to be illegal wherever you're going, don't take it. If you really need it for medical reasons, let them know in advance. If you're travelling with littles and you're not sure what to take in the way of cleaning or whatever, A, sterilising video I already did, and B, you should be able to find it on the FAQs, otherwise email the cruise line. There are plenty of forums online for all sorts of insightful information. Some of them you'll get answers back which aren't 100% true. Others you'll get them back from people who may not have understood your question properly. So just be a bit aware. You're best off always going to the primary source, which is the cruise line itself. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you'll catch me on the next video.